Hello, everyone, and welcome to our advocacy update. We have some really good news to share with you. I'm Matt Phelan, our public policy manager for Michigan, and I'm joined with Colin Ford, our director of public policy here in Michigan. And we're just going to give you a quick update on the budget, which just passed last week and is awaiting the governor's signature at this point. We're recording this on July 6th, so something could have happened between now and the signature of the governor, but hopefully not, because we have some good news to share with you. And that is that this budget includes $400,000 for our dementia unit to be implemented. And there's a difference this year from last year, an improvement, and truly something that is hopefully going to last us a long time. And Colin is going to kind of describe the difference between us passing $400,000 for a dementia unit this year and what we passed last year, which was a $400,000 budget item that was supposed to create a dementia unit, but didn't quite get us there. So Colin, go ahead.
Sure. So thanks, Matt. Again, I agree with your assessment. I think this is great news. I think that this is really building on the success of last year and really help giving us much more solid footing moving forward in terms of accomplishing a lot of the objectives and realizing a lot of the potential that creating a dementia unit in Michigan can really provide the citizens of Michigan. So things that didn't change from last year, the rationale for the program is still the same. We really do feel that dementia is a public health crisis. Needs the type of attention and expertise from folks in the public health sphere. And those needs just aren't being met under the current framework. And so creating a dementia unit, whether it was permanent funding or temporary funding, as was the case last year, the rationale hasn't changed. As Matt mentioned, the funding again is $400,000. That's the same as it was last year, so that's unchanged. And quite frankly, the scope of the program hasn't changed in terms of what the money is meant to do. What has changed is largely an accounting function within the budget process. And in the budget last year, we were in the one-time funding section, and it literally was just a line item that said dementia unit funding and no other specificity related to that. That created some problems. The state wasn't exactly sure, the executive branch wasn't exactly sure what they were supposed to do to faithfully execute that program. Additionally, they weren't sure that they could find staffing for 1 year and get the program up and running. It probably won't surprise you that state government sometimes doesn't operate quickly all the time. So that was a major concern. So that created some stagnation in terms of actually implementing the program. So the good news is that program last year actually gave us an opportunity to meet with a lot of the stakeholders within Health and Human Services to talk through what some of their concerns were. Some staffing changes also provided some additional opportunities. And we maintained our champions in the legislature to get the budget appropriation that we were seeking this year. Unlike last year, you could look in the budget and you won't really be able to find any sort of mention of dementia unit funding. It's rolled up in some general staffing, but that's actually a good thing because that makes it more difficult to potentially cut in the future. It's not viewed as sort of an optional type program the way that it was in the previous budget. It's rolled up and more essential in terms of staffing, and it would actually require to cut staffing at that point. So I think that there's still quite a bit of work to do in terms of designing what the program is going to look like and actually helping find the right people to actually implement a lot of the program and what types of opportunities exist. But from our standpoint, what we've been able to accomplish is really take the 2 points of weakness from the previous session and correct those And now we have very solid footing to build from, the type of foundation that we need to really establish this program within state government and help it reach its full potential. And Matt's going to talk to you a little bit now about what some of those next steps are going to look like and what some of the things that we still need to do. But again, great job all. Really to get something this far along in just 2 years is pretty remarkable. So definitely pat yourselves on the back, but not for too long, because the next phase of work begins shortly thereafter.
Thanks, Colin. Yeah, and Colin's right. We've advocated hard the last 2 years for this. Honestly, when we first started to strategize on this 3 years ago, we knew and thought this would take 3 to 5 years to get done, because establishing basically a new unit department over in the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services is extremely hard to do. And we would not be here today if it wasn't for all the work everybody did last year to get that funding, as Colin said, to get things launched basically, and then everybody's hard work over the last year. We had people doing coffee hours, we had people doing having meetings, we had people ask key legislators to go and talk to other key legislators, and that really made a huge difference. And we had great attendance at our advocacy days. All of those things added up. Every action folks did on the whole has gotten us to where we are today, which is, as Colin mentioned, we're rolled up into the staffing part, which is where we want to be. So what's next for us, we've already had some initial conversations with the Department of Health and Human Services and folks over in the chronic disease division, because that's where we want this to be established. And they're looking forward this summer to meeting with us to kind of talk over what we're going to do, what's a dementia unit going to look like, and how do we get this launched and going here for 2023 in Michigan. And so we're very excited about that. Those are kind of our next steps. There are more next steps for you too. We are going to, this is not the last you're going to hear on dementia unit. We are going to have to continue to advocate around that. We've gotten some money rolled up and staffing happening, but we're probably going to be looking for some funding next year to kind of do some more programming in the state. The other thing too is that we feel pretty safe where we're at in the budget, but there's no guarantees. And so we can't just go away and not mention dementia unit anymore to the folks over there. We have an entire new legislature coming in next year, a lot of new senators, a lot of new reps between term limited folks and redistricting. We're going to look at a whole new legislature next year. So we're going to have to establish the importance of this dementia unit with them. We're going to have to advocate, that it's not just needs to be there. We need to expand it, make it bigger, and really come out guns a-blazing again on how this is important and educate legislators. So definitely look for us to be doing that here in the future. Like I said, dementia unit is not going away. Hopefully it's there to stay for good. And ultimately our hope is that after 2 to 3 years, we have basically established it at the point where it is growing, it is doing vital work, and it will never go away. And we feel we will get there. But our key thing is that we're going to have to still talk about it for the next 2 years or so. And we're still going to have to go back out and advocate for it. But the biggest hurdle has been crossed. And once we get that established there, it makes it very hard to take away. So you can look forward to us talking a little bit more about dementia unit. Colin and I are now going to do our work on the back end to hopefully get this thing set up in the right place with the right people, doing the right things. So stay tuned to that. We will keep you updated as we move along in this process, but we wanted to share with you this great news that it is in the final budget. Thanks to all the work you've done over the last year. And we're looking at going into hopefully here a new phase of the dementia unit. And hopefully next year at this time, we'll be talking about things that the dementia unit has done over the last year. So thanks again. And we appreciate that. If you have any questions on this, feel free to reach out to me at any time, and we're happy to help. But once again, thanks.